Unmuted, ready when you are.
Good evening and welcome to our regular session of council. It is Thursday, February the 15th, 2024, and I will call this meeting to order. I will remind members of any disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Moving on to section 3, review of items not listed on the agenda. Is this mic working? Should be. Yep, okay.
Two items tonight, Mr. Mayor. We have a report TR 424 from the treasurer regarding the 2023 investment report, and a report TR 0924 also from the treasurer regarding 2023 development charges.
All right, thank you very much. Announcements. Any member have any announcements this evening? One announcement from staff?
Just one, Mr. Mayor, just a reminder that the municipal office will be closed on Monday in observation of Family Day.
Okay, thank you for that. No presentations this evening, no delegations. Brings us to section 7, adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting. We have the regular meeting of council held February the 1st, 2024, and the public drainage meeting held February the 1st, 2024. Members have had opportunity to peruse those minutes. If there are no errors or omissions, I would entertain a mover and a seconder for the following: that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held February the 1st, 2024, and the minutes of the public drainage meeting held February the 1st, 2024 be approved as presented. I see Councillor Froese with a hand up. I think he'll move. And Deputy Mayor Weiser will second. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moving down to section 11, physical services and emergency services, 11.2. We have report PS 0224 by Steve Adams, Manager of Public Works, Drainage Superintendent, regarding the RFT 0124 1 half-ton four-wheel drive pickup truck.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be taking this on behalf of Mr. Adams, who couldn't attend tonight.
Thank you.
So the RFT went out in accordance with capital item number PW 43. It's allocated in the 2024 capital budget as a $60,000 item for a pickup truck replacement. The tender was issued on January the 16th, closed on February the 7th. Myself and Mr. Adams conducted the opening. The report outlines the 5 tenders that were received in support of the request. The low bid is Finch Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC at just under $50,000 before HST. Staff have reviewed all bids and the low bid was deemed to be compliant. Therefore, staff are recommending approval of the bid. So this is in the budget to replace a deteriorated 2018 GMC. This was retired due to a failed transmission last year. So if council is willing to approve the recommendation is to receive for information and to award the tender to Finch Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC in the total amount of $49,914.50 plus HST. Also included in this item, there will be a couple of extra expenses to install GPS and radio, door stickers, and tool storage, all under $50,000. So it's expected that this item for the capital budget will come in under budget. I am available for questions.
All right, thank you for that. Does any member of council have questions for staff? Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, just to clarify, it'll come in under the projected budget of 60 or?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yes. Yeah, I thought I misheard.
50.
So did I.
Just wanted to make sure.
Okay, no further questions. Then we have a motion that reads that report PS 0224 regarding the RFT 0124. One, new half-ton four-wheel drive pickup truck be received for information. And that council approved the procurement of one new half-ton four-wheel drive pickup truck from Finch Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC and the amount of $49,914.50 plus HST. Do I have a mover and seconder? Deputy Mayor Weisler, seconded by Councillor Froze. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moving down to section 12, Development Services, Sustainability and Conservation. 12.1 correspondence, and to receive for information, we have item A, notice of passing regarding Macaloni zoning bylaw amendment. 11,593 Plank Road. B, notice of decision regarding the Walker minor variance, 41 Strawn Street. C, notice of public meeting regarding Silverthorne proposed zoning bylaw amendment. D, notice of public meeting regarding Wayne and Underhill proposed zoning bylaw amendment. Should that have been Wayne and Linda? Thank you. Randy Wayne. Thank you. Item E, notice of public meeting regarding Wall proposed zoning bylaw amendment. Item F, notice of public meeting regarding the Graham proposed zoning bylaw amendment. And item G, notice of public meeting regarding the Underhill Farms Limited proposed official plan amendment. Does any member of council have any questions regarding these pieces of correspondence? Seeing none, the motion will read that items 12.1.1A through G be received for information. Mover and seconder? Alternate back and forth, you know. Councillor Froze will move, Deputy Mayor Weiser will second, all in favor. That's carried.
All night long, Mr. Mayor, all night long.
Thank you. Thanks for the support. Item 13, Finance and Administration. 13.1 correspondence, 13.11 to receive for information. Item A, Town of Petrolia regarding return to combined Roma and OGRA conferences. B, United Counties of Prescott Russell regarding the AMO policy update, social and economic prosperity review. Item C, Township of Ryerson regarding support for Bill C-310. D, City of Brantford regarding reliable and accessible public rail transit, CN-Rail. E, Long Point Region Conservation Authority regarding the 2024 inventory of programs and services. Item F, Long Point Region Conservation Authority, January 3rd, 2024 meeting minutes. And item G, Woodstock, Ingersoll, Tilsmergen Area Association of Realtors regarding the housing market update for January 2024. Does anyone have any questions, concerns, or comments regarding any of this correspondence? Deputy Mayor. Yes, Councilor Froze, do you have a anything on these correspondence?
Sorry, no, just having some difficulties here.
Okay, no problem. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Just one comment and proposal for item B to support item B.
Let me get that.
And that's the AMO policy update, social and economic prosperity review.
That's the one calling for a review of the federal, provincial, municipal financial arrangement.
That's correct.
All right, we can do that. I do know that, as you said, AMO is taking the charge on this, as you know.
Right?
The Western Ontario Wardens dug into this earlier this week. It was on the CTV News, but we can add our voice to the chorus as well. I think the last time this was looked at was it 1984?
It's been a while. 84, 85, 84.
It's been a long time. Okay. You sure you don't want to, as our representative for Long Point, take us through the inventory of programs and services?
Actually, through you, Mr. Mayor, it's a very good report. I would recommend everyone in here read it, actually. It's very good.
Okay. All right then, so the motion then would read that items 13.1.1 A through G be received for information and that the Corporation and Municipality of Bayonne supports. Item B, United Counties of Prescott and Russell regarding the AMO Policy Update Social and Economic Prosperity Review. Mover and seconder? Deputy Mayor Weiser and Councillor Froze. All in favor? That's carried. Which are all warrants. You're, oh, we can do that. Section 13.2 reports to council. We have report TR 0224 by Lauren James, Treasurer, regarding the 2025 budget schedule.
Good evening, your worship. Before you is our 2025 budget schedule. Generally, we bring this out in the first meeting in February. It's the second meeting this year. Yes, I'm aware that the 24 budget hasn't passed, but to give proper time for the residents to weigh in for 25, we need to get this document out in the center. Once the 25 second review comes back to council in March, hopefully we get adoption, and then we can rule out the budget consultation period both for operating and capital, similar to what we've done in the past. And it outlines our schedules, our target dates for cutoff, as well as our proposed dates for the special for the 10-year and for the operating budget consideration next January 25.
Okay, thank you for that, Lauren. Just one question for you. As part of the consultation beginning April 1st, do you necessarily need to have the 24 budget completed?
Your worship, I'm hoping the 24 budget is completed by April 1st.
I understand that, but does it necessarily mean it must be completed?
Just
Thomas.
a quick comment, if I can jump in, Mr. Mayor. It doesn't have to be completed by that point in time to get the consultation moving. But if it's not approved, then there is the chance that the budget may change, which might impact some of the comments that come in during the consultation, which is why we generally prefer to have the budget passed before the consultation starts for the next year.
Oh, I understand that. And typically on a normal year, we would already have this well in hand and be moving forward. Does any member of council have any questions? Okay. Motion would read that staff report TR 0224 regarding the 2025 budget schedule be received for information, and that the proposed budget guidelines and meeting dates be approved as set out in report TR 0224. Mover and seconder, please. I believe it's your turn. Councillor Froze will move, and Deputy Mayor Weiser will second. All in favor? That's carried. Item B, report TR 0324 by Lauren James, Treasurer, regarding the 2023 Public Sector Salary Disclosure Act.
Thank you again, your worship. This is one of those annual boilerplate requirement reports. This filing's already been done with the Ontario government in the PSSD filing. The reports for council.
Thank you for that. Any questions from any member of council? It is curious. I'd love to know, see, this was established back, what, the 80s? Threshold.
1995.
Was it 90? No, it was earlier than that.
Mid-90s. It was under Mike Harris.
95,
Yeah,
and they've never moved the index of 100K.
I know. I'd be curious to know if, through an exercise, if it was indexed annually, what that threshold would be today.
164,
164?
174. I think 164 was last year's number.
Someone has gone through the exercise. Okay. Thank you for that. No further questions. The motion reads the report TR 0324 regarding the 2023 Public Sector Salary Disclosure Act be received for information. Mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor Weiser, followed by Councillor Froze seconding. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Item C, Report TR 0524 by Lauren James, Treasurer, regarding the 2023 council remuneration and expenses.
Thank you again, your worship. Again, another boiler report requirement for year-end filing. Outlines council's remuneration, both the tax bill as well as the reimbursed portions of expenses. One addition to this year is we have Deputy Mayor's time on the AMO, which is now required to be reported. Other than that, it's a standard report of annual filing.
All right, any questions from council? Seeing none, the motion would read that report TR 0524 regarding the 2023 council remuneration and expenses be received for information. Mover and seconder, please. Rose will move, Deputy Mayor Weisler will second, all in favor? Here, thank you. We're going to change our order slightly if council does not object. We'll go on with report TR 0424 by Lauren James regarding regarding the 2023 investment report.
Thank you again, your worship, members of council. Again, another annual filing requirement. However, this one has a bit of a wrinkle. Last year, our investments were with one fund, with some in the GIC with RBC. Council is aware that in the spring, there was council motion on the June 15th meeting to do a disposal of investments with LAS to move to RBC. That movement has been done. The schedule shows the realized loss, unfortunately. However, it does show that we have improved our yields from that point on for the rest of the year for our investment, as well as met the compliance of PSAB Section 3450 financial reporting and investment standards. Right now, our investments are set up that they will all automatically mature before March 15th, 2025. So that way we are liquid when we have the call date for Project Ojibwe debt.
All right, thank you for that. Any questions from members? All right. Motion reads that report TR 0424 regarding the 2023 investment report be received for information. Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor. And Councilor Prose. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Which brings us to TR 24.
TR 924.
Yep, regarding the 2023 development charges.
Thank you again, your worship, members of council. This is a new report for us this year. As council recall, we implemented development charges on our water and wastewater in 2022. Unfortunately, in 2022, we did not have any development charge collected. We've had several last year. This is an annual requirement now to report how we handle DC monies collected, how the interest is earned, and how the capital expense is spent. Just to remind council, DCs can only pay for growth, not rehabilitation. You'll see this report annually, right around this time of year, and it'll be part of our annual reporting package.
All right, thank you for that. Any questions from members of council?
Your worship, we lost Dan for a moment, but if looks like he's coming back here shortly.
Take a pause. Without Dan, we don't have quorum.
Counselor Froze, let us know when you're connected if you can hear this.
I am
Welcome
back. Sorry
Counselor.
about the complication.
No worries. Welcome back. Okay, we left off with, yes, calling the question on the development charges. So be it resolved that report TR 0924 regarding the 2023 development charges be received for information. Moved by Councilor Rose. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Weisler. All in favor? We're carried. Okay. Now we'll slip back to. You just have the one report C. Report CL 0124 by Megan Elliott with clerk regarding the proposed procedural bylaw amendments.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to council. In March of 2023, updates were adopted to Bayham's procedural bylaw to incorporate a number of changes for language surrounding committees, making the current procedural bylaw in effect number 2023-021. In May of 2023, council split the role of CIO and clerk to be separate positions effective July 1st, 2023. And at its December 7th, 2023 meeting, council received report CL 1523 regarding a diversity, equity, and inclusion plan. And the plan was adopted in joint with Elgin County and other lower tier municipal partners. So since the passing of the procedural bylaw, there are minor edits required as it references CAO/clerk to update accordingly now that the role has split. Since this is required, staff wanted to bring this item forward to see if there was any other amendments council wished to look at and possibly change. When we were presenting the diversity, equity, and inclusion plan, there was conversations around implementing a land acknowledgement statement for the opening of our council meetings. And it was noted at that time that that would be a change to the procedural bylaw. So that could be something that council considers. Staff also recommend considering a consent agenda. So having a consent agenda is used to group items together that are just to receive for information, such as our correspondence, some general staff reports that aren't controversial, sometimes minutes, committee minutes, that sort of thing. It is used to streamline the meeting so that instead of having to discuss or read out every title, you just pass the consent agenda and items for information. If there is something within that package that a counselor doesn't want to just receive for information or wants further discussion on, you can pull out that individual item and vote separately. So if that's something of consideration, we could look further into that and report back with more information. Agenda headings in general. Right now, our agenda is a little bit bulky with a lot of the subheadings, and we don't regularly use a number of them. So there could be a way to streamline this. And with the idea of different things that we're talking about tonight, if interested, it might change some headings. So we could have just general correspondence for receive for information or action instead of breaking it up per department. And in general, reports to council instead of different categories for each of the departments. Another option that we wanted to present was to have closed session first. This can be beneficial for a number of reasons. We would propose that the regular time for the open session remain at 7 o'clock, but if there's a closed session, it can start at 6, so that if there's anyone else that needs to partake in closed session, it's easier to schedule them in. And as well, it keeps to a designated time for council to consider those items and helps us not to stay as late. So for next steps, these are some areas for you to consider. And if you would like to move forward with any of these or in general updates, then you can direct staff to do so. And I'm here for questions.
All right, thank you for that, Megan. I'm going to open it up for general discussion with council members at this moment. I've got a few opinions of my own, but I'll hear from you first. And then we'll decide where we wish to go with that. Do you want to deal with them one at a time? Like we start up at the top of the list and work our way down? Does that sound fair? Okay. Let's talk about land acknowledgement. Any opinions, any questions? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Do you currently do a land acknowledgement in Eldon, at Eldon?
At Elgin County, we do not. I understand exactly what the clerk is getting at. The Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Plan does recommend such a thing. But I have a question regarding that as well. In most practices, for example, Dutton Dunwich and I believe Central Elgin, every meeting they do an acknowledgement. It may be appropriate to at least acknowledge once a term. I don't know. That's why I want to ask staff about. Could a formal acknowledgement, say, on the inaugural night of council be sufficient, or is this something that's recommended for every meeting? I don't know. So that would be a question I would have. Whether that's worthy of further consideration or not, it's up to council.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, just an opinion then, I'll throw it out there. It may be a discussion that we may have to defer or have staff come back with some recommendations, only just because there's not
There's
many
only
of us.
three of
There's
us
not many
tonight.
of us here
Yep.
tonight, but I am in favor of land acknowledgements, and
Mhm.
I think we should to do our best to prepare something. But I would like to see the accuracy of it, and I know I've heard some land acknowledgements that are very, very lengthy.
Mhm.
So I'd just be curious to get a little more information about that before we add that into a procedural bylaw.
My understanding, that's exactly what staff are looking for. If they want council direction to explore this anymore, or not even any interest at all. So, what about you, Councillor Froese?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. I too am in favor of it. However, you posed a question of sufficiency, right? And maybe once per term or at the beginning of every year, I would be highly in favor of. But I concur with Deputy Mayor. Not many of us here today, or maybe a staff report with just a few proposed options, I would be in favor of.
Got that one kind of noted? Yep, on that one too, or, okay, please.
Sorry, thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor, if I may. In partnership with a land acknowledgement, I would also recommend that if we're going to do land acknowledgement at the beginning of every meeting, we include O Canada as well.
Only if you lead the song.
I'd be happy to. One of my favorites. But that's just a comment that
Again,
I do think they go hand in hand, and
shall we have that included in the staff report? Ask about frequency, does it occur, does it not occur? You know, that'd be something.
for sure.
Is that okay with you, Councilor Froese, to include that investigation? Okay, thumbs up. The consent agenda. Okay, I'm gonna throw something out first. I appreciate the idea of trying to, I guess you could say, speed up the agenda a little bit. This is what it is. There are a lot of items on the agenda that currently, well, they're printed,
Mhm.
but they're never very much exercised. But usually when we're working through the agenda, if there's no item under it, they get skipped and moved on. I don't know. It's up to your preference. I'd personally like to keep it the way it is, but that's my opinion. The second thing is when it talks about correspondence, when we're in a hybrid session like this, members of the public who are here can pick up a copy of the agenda. And I assume those who are, wish to, can go online and find it too. But those who are just listening, then they don't often know what correspondence is out there. And, okay, it takes a little effort to read it off, but I don't mind if it's putting it out there from a transparency point of view. It's just my opinion. I'll entertain whatever you folks are thinking. Whether you'd like to see a further recommendation from staff on this. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment, maybe, I'd be interested to see the format, like what it looks like, how it would present. I think if staff could bring back how it presents, because I think you're right. I do like the outline of how we do existing meetings,
Mhm.
because it does break it down into category. But that's just a comment. It might be interesting to just have that come back in the staff report.
Okay. Counselor Froze, I'm gonna ask for a quick comment on this.
I agree with both of you. I currently like the way it's being done right now.
Would you be interested in seeing what a proposed agenda might look like, if they modify to a consent agenda? But I
Not
totally
really.
agree with you. Okay. Okay. Is this the kind of thing that we should let the entire
Yeah.
council have a weigh in on? But I want to suspend discussion right now. We do need to go to a public meeting. So we'll return to this in a few minutes, all right? So we're in recess on the regular agenda. All right. It is 7:31. And I will call the statutory planning meeting to order. And we have several. We have 5 applications this evening. So I'm going to ask and remind members of any disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. And we will work our way through this. So the first application is the proposed zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 0124 Silverthorne at 58224 Heritage Line. The purpose of this bylaw amendment is to rezone a portion of the subject property fronting Heritage Line from agricultural A1 zone to a site-specific farm commercial zone to permit an agriculture-related business use for the importing and sale of animal feed and fertilizers. The subject lands are known as 58224 Heritage Line, north side and west of Elgin County Road 55. The effect of this bylaw will be to permit an agricultural-related business use for the importing and sale of animal feed and fertilizers on the subject property in addition to the existing agricultural operations. And at this point, I will call for any public participation on this particular proposed zoning bylaw amendment. And if anyone wishes to make comment, please attend the podium and sign in. If anyone's okay.
Good evening. I had a presentation.
Yeah, make sure you sign in.
Okay, I will sign in. Okay. perfect.
Just let me know.
Okay, perfect. I can hold it too. I will. Good evening, your worship, members of council and members of the public who are present. My name is Trevor Benjamins. I'm a land use planner with CJDL Consulting Engineers at Tilsonburg. I'm the agent on the application and the author of the planning justification report that was submitted with the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. The application is for to permit the Customins Feed and Seeds business on 58224 Heritage Line as stated. Next slide, please. So the property is designated as agricultural in the official plan and zoned as agricultural A1. It is about 21.2 hectares in size. That's 52 acres approximately. And the current use of the property is for Custerman's Feeds and Seeds, as well as a separate agricultural operation with animals on the farm and cropland. The current size of the building is approximately 213 square meters. That's about 2,200 square feet. There is a separate entrance currently to the use that has a gravel parking lot for customers and employees. The surrounding land use are primarily farmland with some woodlots. Next slide, please. So Custerman's Feeds and Seeds is a relatively small business that imports animal feed and seed, and it sells chicken, cow, horse, sheep, and pig feed. They also sell a variety of fertilizers, mainly for use for lawns and garden. They generally carry about 20 to 25 bags of fertilizer at any given time. They currently have 2 employees that work there. There is no plans for future expansion on that. However, the proposed use could limit the number of employees. It operates between approximately 9 to 5 Monday through Friday and 9 to 1 on Saturdays. Each week, there's around 10 to 12 deliveries to the site for feed and seed and fertilizers. And one of those deliveries would be in a tractor trailer. As I mentioned, the current size is 213, and we're asking for amendment to allow up to 550 square meters. That's a 5,900 square foot business. And the expansion would be for a warehouse for more storage. It is subject to site plan approval and washrooms would be required. The plan is to use the existing drinking water well and build a new septic system for the expansion. Next slide, please. This slide shows the site plan. You will see the existing areas as well as the proposed addition. And at the back of this site plan, you'll see a kind of a grade hatch out area. That's a future expansion that would, if built out, were happen right up to 550 square meters, although that's not proposed at this time. 10 parking spaces would be required for that size of building, which the existing parking lot could accommodate. Next slide, please. So we are asking to change the zoning of the site plan area only on the property. The remaining portion outside of the site plan area would retain the A1 zone and would not be affected. This would allow for an agricultural supply establishment with a maximum building size of 550 square meters. Zoning bylaw amendments under the Planning Act are required to be consistent with provincial policy and conform with the official plans in effect and zoning bylaw. Next slide, please. Under the provincial policy statement, it refers to a publication 851 that the province has released that allows for agricultural related uses on agricultural land. Cold and dry storage facilities and fertilizer storage facilities are examples of agricultural related uses. And there's a number of criteria which you need to meet in order to fall under that designation, some of which follow. There will be no noise or pollution that will hinder surrounding agricultural operations, as most of it is for storage and sale of feed and seed. It would support agriculture as it is close to existing farming operations, and MDS does not apply for feed and storage facilities under separate publication. Next slide, please. As for the official plans, it's designated as both agriculture in both the County of Elgin official plan and the Municipality of Bayham official plan. And they are both agriculture related uses are permitted in both of those designations. They are encouraged to support the agricultural industry to help continue and thrive, and they are a benefit to nearby farming communities. Next slide, please. So if approved, it would rezone the site plan area from A1 to a site-specific FC zone. The area outside of the site plan, as I mentioned, would remain zoned as A1 and continue in its current use. The proposed regulations would comply with all of the FC zoning regulations. As I mentioned, there would be sufficient parking spaces on the site with the current parking lot, and it is subject to site plan approval. And next slide, please. And throughout this presentation, you were able to see how we met some of those criteria, which I previously mentioned. We are hoping for council's support on this application, and CJDL is in support of the application. If there's any questions from either council or members of the public, I can be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone else within the gallery wish to make a comment this evening? Okay. Mark, have you received any correspondence with this file?
Through your worship to council, there's been no correspondence.
Okay, is there, I don't know any other business. So this will conclude the public meeting for this application. The motion would read that zoning bylaw be considered at a future meeting of council and that pursuant to the Planning Act requirements, the public meeting for zoning application ZBA 0124 is now complete at 7:40 PM. Do I have a mover and seconder for that? Deputy Mayor Weiser and Councillor Rose will second. All in favor? That's carried. Okay, moving on to the second one, I will call this public meeting to order at 7:40 PM. I will remind members of the disclosures of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. This pertains to a proposed zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 0224 Underhill. That's 54190 Vienna Line. The purpose of this bylaw amendment is to rezone two portions of the subject lands as a result of a surplus farm dwelling severance in zoning bylaw Z 456/2003. The proposed severed lot is to be rezoned from agricultural A1 zone to a site-specific rural residential RR zone, to recognize the existing minimum front yard depth of 10.5 meters. The proposed retained lot is to be rezoned from A1 to special agricultural A2 zone to prohibit new dwellings. The subject lands are known as 54190 Vienna Line, north side and west of Woodworth Road. The effect of this bylaw will be to recognize the residential nature of the newly created residential lot and to prohibit new dwellings on the retained farm parcel in accordance with the official plan as part of the clearing of consent conditions for Elgin County Land Division Committee File number E423. At this time, I will call for public participation. Anyone interested to offer comment on this particular application, please attend the podium and sign in. Okay. Is there any correspondence with this file?
Through you to council, there is no correspondence.
Thank you. And I note that there is no other business, which brings us to the adjournment. That the zoning bylaw be considered at a future meeting of council and that the pursuant to the Planning Act requirements, the public meeting for zoning application ZBA 0224 be now complete at 7:42 PM. Mover and seconder, please. Councilor Rose and Deputy Mayor Weiser will second. All in favor? That's carried. Application C. Call this public meeting to order at 7:42 PM. I will remind members of any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. Application C deals with the proposed zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 0324 Wall at 6780 Richmond Road. The purpose of this bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject property from institutional zone to hamlet residential zone to permit and develop two residential dwelling units. One being an additional residential unit within the existing building structure on the subject property. The subject lands are known as 6780 Richmond Road, east side and north of Colton Line. The effect of this bylaw will be to permit the development of two residential dwelling units, one being an additional residential unit within the existing building structure on the subject property. And at this time, I will call for any public participation. Anyone wishing to speak to this proposed zoning bylaw amendment, please attend the podium and sign in. Ask staff if there is any correspondence with this particular file.
Through you to council, there's no correspondence.
I note there is no other business, which brings us to the adjournment. That the zoning bylaw be considered at a future meeting of council, and that pursuant to the Planning Act requirements, the public meeting for zoning application ZBA 0324 is now complete at 7:44 PM. Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Weiser. Councillor Froze will second. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Moving along to the fourth application. I will call this public meeting to order at 7:45 PM. Remind members of any disclosures of pecuniary interest thereof. Item D, proposed zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 0424 Graham at 11693 Elliott Road. The purpose of this bylaw amendment is to rezone the subject property as a result of a severance for the creation of new residential lot. In zoning bylaw Z 456/2003, both the proposed retained and severed lot are to be rezoned from agricultural A1 zone to rural residential zone. Subject lands are known as 11693 Elliott Road, west side and north of Talbot Line. The effect of this bylaw will be to recognize the residential nature of the retained lot and the newly created severed lot for future dwelling as part of the clearing of consent conditions for Elgin Land Division Committee, file number E 33-23. And at this time, I will call for any public participation regarding this application. So anyone wishing to speak to this file, please attend the podium and sign in. Ask, is there any correspondence with this file?
Through you to council, there's no correspondence.
Thank you. And I note no other business associated with this file. Brings us to the adjournment. That the zoning bylaw be considered at a future meeting of council, and that pursuant to the Planning Act requirements, the public meeting for zoning application ZBA 0424 is now complete at 7:46 PM. Mover and seconder, please. Councillor Froze's turn, seconded by Deputy Mayor Weiser. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Which brings us to application E, and I will call this public meeting to order at 7:47 PM. Remind members of any disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. The purpose and effect of this amendment is proposed official amendment OPA 0124 Underhill Farms Limited at 55032 Vienna Line. The purpose of the official plan amendment is to add a new site-specific subsection to permit the severance of an existing dwelling made surplus through farm consolidation that does not conform to section 2.1.7.1. The subject lands are located at 55032 Vienna Line, north side and west of Brown Road. The effect of this official plan amendment will be to permit the severance of a surplus farm dwelling from a farm parcel where more than one dwelling and severance of a surplus farm dwelling had previously occurred on the subject lands as a result of farm consolidation. And at this time, I will call for any public participation regarding this application. Anyone wishing to speak to this application, please attend the podium and sign in. Okay. I would ask if there's any correspondence with this particular file.
Through you to council, there's no correspondence.
Thank you, and I note no other business, which brings us to the adjournment. That the official plan amendment be considered at a future meeting of council, and that pursuant to the Planning Act requirements, the public meeting for official plan amendment application OPA 0124 is now complete at 7:49 PM. Mover and seconder, please. Deputy Mayor Weiser will move. Councillor Froze will second. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. That concludes the public meeting. We will now return to our regular agenda where we left off at 13.2D. The consent agenda. Any more comments regarding the heading of consent agenda? Thomas?
Just a quick comment, Mr. Mayor. It was made earlier in the meeting that it may be more beneficial to have this discussion with all members of council present. So if council wishes to defer this this report into the next meeting of council, then we can certainly do that because I believe we would have all members present at that time.
We certainly can. Would that preclude the preparation of any, say, exemplars of what was asked before? Would you rather us wait, or is there any advantage? See, we're not approving of any particular change. I think the question was whether we wanted you to bring us more information. So I'll leave that to council. What do you think? I'm willing to defer if you want. Just take a motion to do so. Or shall we continue on? Let staff bring back the information. I see a nod from Councilor Froze. What do you think, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I think I would like to see some more information.
All right. Okay. So if there's nothing further on the consent agenda, let's go down to agenda headings. What do you think? You want to, again, group that in with what an exemplar of the new agenda would look like? And then have that come back in a report?
Sorry, Your Worship, can I just confirm? So when we were at consent agenda, did you want more information on that, or are we including that in the motion or no?
We hadn't quite got there for the motion, but
Okay.
recalling that this was if I recall, the comments were, if I recall my own, was that I don't mind reading out individual pieces of correspondence, but
And through you, Mr. Mayor, my comment was that I would like to see an example of what
Yep.
that agenda would look like.
so I think you build that in with the the agenda headings, see what that looks like as an exemplar to bring forward for council consideration. Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And agreed that we're not making a decision on approving any procedural bylaw tonight. It's just, what are we interested in considering? Closed session. Councilor Froze, I'll let you jump in.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Current occupation I have is farmer. So in the summer, I would like it at the back end of the meeting. In the winter, I would like it in the front end of the meeting. Sorry to complicate things, but no, maybe it would be a good idea to have it at the front end of the meeting. I kind of like that idea because a lot of times those in-camera sessions do affect the meeting.
They can, absolutely. I appreciate that. I'm wondering if it comes to a point where the discussion in camera perhaps is a little longer than anticipated, does that mean it would be staff's suggestion that rather than truncating the meeting at the 7 o'clock public session, it would continue, or do we suspend and move till the end of the meeting to carry on?
Mr. Mayor, we can look at options for this. In practice, generally speaking, if you have closed session first, which is beneficial if we have consultants or external individuals present in closed session. If we were to go past 7 o'clock, then we would consider something in the procedural bylaw that would say, in the event of a closed session commencing at 6 o'clock, regular session shall begin no earlier than 7 p.m. And that gives the flexibility should closed session run long. But we can certainly look at specific wording if council is interested in considering this further.
All right. So then grouping this in with the overall package, then you're interested in having some staff recommendations coming back with suggestion changes for procedural bylaw in this area? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just a comment. 6 o'clock is difficult for those who have jobs
Yep.
outside of town, which unfortunately I'm one of them. So 6 is tight.
I agree.
And I've made a commitment to my community to be to meetings a half hour early, which is, I would really like to keep that commitment, and I'm not sure how I can do that if we have a closed session agenda.
Okay.
So I would, like 6:30, I could make work, but 6 o'clock is tight. That's just a comment.
Appreciate that.
But I'm happy to have that discussion around the horseshoe with everyone. We're gonna bring that report back.
Think you might find similar arguments as well, even though some of us who practice the green thumb out there might find earlier meeting times hard to make, but it's definitely I think worthwhile of having some thought and recommendations put forward and brought forward for the rest of council. Yeah, Councillor Froze.
Thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. Just imagine how much shorter the in-camera would be with fresh minds instead of at 10:30 at night after 3 hours of meetings.
You have a very valid point. Why don't we have staff put together some suggested changes and then come back to us and
I'm
with council and have a look at it? Is that okay?
good with that. Yep.
Can you craft the motion up accordingly, Megan? I shouldn't say can you. Will you?
Yes, your worship. One moment.
I know you can.
So through you, your worship, it sounds like all areas are interested to come back with a little more information for consideration. So we have a motion that reads that report CL 0124 regarding proposed procedural bylaw amendments be received for information, and that staff be directed to report back to council with further information on all areas outlined within report CL 0124.
Okay. Anyone interested in moving that motion? Deputy Mayor Weiser and Councillor Froze will second. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Brings us down to section 17, confirmation bylaw. Or the confirming bylaw. So the motion would read the confirming bylaw number 2024-007. I was waiting for that one. To be read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. Whose turn is it? Well, I think you're out of step.
I think I'm out.
You're out of step. I think it's Councillor Froze's turn. By Deputy Mayor Weiser. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you.
It has to be at a step for the adjournment motion, though.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
It's
All
always
right.
Dan.
Brings us to section 18, the adjournment motion, that council meeting be adjourned at 7:57 PM. Do I have a mover and seconder? Nobody. Okay, Councillor Froze. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Weiser. All in favor? Perfect. We are adjourned, and thank you, Dan. Appreciate it.
Sorry about the technical difficulties.
No worries. I'm glad they function. And thank you to all who joined us in the gallery and